It's Robert Thomas season, but it's also Robert Thomas hat trick season. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Robert Thomas, and this is Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode of LOB, we're going to talk about RT18 as he recorded his first career hat trick last night against the Colorado Avalanche. Yes, there is still a chance. It's a 5 or 6% chance depending on where you're looking. But the Blues still have a chance of making the playoffs, which is absolutely insane. And then I have a crazy statement that I want to make, which honestly, you might find this whole episode to just be crazy overall. But hey, at the end of the day, I'm just so excited and I'm amped up. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. First and foremost, I hope everybody is having a happy Victory Monday. I know I am. I was up late last night watching the Blues and Avalanche, and I was having a lot of anxiety while watching this game because it was intense from the start. You had Joel Hofer in net for the Blues, who played absolutely incredible. You had Mackenzie Blackwood in net for the Avalanche, and he did a great job as well. And you had these two teams. I mean, Brent Burns, okay, 1,000 consecutive NHL games, which is absolutely insane, a huge accomplishment. But I mean, both of these teams were just going back and forth. And I have to tell you the truth, I was nervous because I knew what was at stake. While the Blues wouldn't have been eliminated last night, it would have been a 0.35. It's like something like 3% chance of making the playoffs. So essentially, yeah, the season would have been over and everything would have sucked. I would have crashed out here today. You know, I might crash out this week, but at least for today on this beautiful Monday in April, I'm in a good mood. And, oh, by the way, on top of that, I want to mention that Eric Johnson, he was on one of the guys on the call last night, EJ. Obviously, we drafted him first overall in the early 2000s. But it was cool because he was talking to Colton Parayko. And usually I hate when players have interviews like during the games because I'm like, just focus on the game. Like, who cares? But I mean, Parayko, I love locked in Parayko. And you could tell that Colton was just so locked in. And EJ, it's so cool seeing him in that role too. I've had an opportunity to cover Eric Johnson for a year. And we actually talked about Braden Shen when he hit his 1,000th career game, and just an overall really good guy. But yes, he did win a cup with Colorado. So I found it kind of funny that the team that drafted him versus the team that he won a cup with were playing each other. But nonetheless, it's always cool to see former players doing a good job on the broadcast. Anyways, let's get to the game, and enough about the broadcast. I just wanted to point that out. So I have to tell you, I was feeling like they could win. I really did from the very beginning. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, Haley, like that's literally a lie. There's no way you felt like that. Okay, well, I did. I was locked in and ready. And because of the game prior to them, it was delayed for about 15 minutes, right? So it's 15 more minutes of just waiting around, having a little bit of anxiety, right? And guys, 12 minutes in, Robert Thomas scores. It was a great feed from Snuggard, and that's going to be a pattern that we're going to see all night. But what a goal by RT18. I was then feeling good for a couple minutes, right? We have a 1-0 lead. And then a couple minutes later, it was Parker Kelly who was able to score. Now, I do want to mention that Ross Colton had at first the first goal, but it was like way off sides. And if anybody has eyeballs, you could have seen that. So literally they waved it off. Like, obviously, I don't know why it took so long, to be honest. I feel as if this, right? It's not difficult if you're a referee on the ice and you see it's offsides, to call offsides before the play continues on. But hey, the refs have been really sucky this year. And it's not just me saying that. Like, literally everyone is saying that. I don't watch every single NHL game, believe it or not. But it feels as if this has been a pattern. So, again, whatever. But it was waved off. And then Tomer scored. So, that's what happened. All right. I do want to talk about something, though, because this was a little bit of a problem throughout the game. And I like Berggren. I do. He had 2 different penalties, right? One at the end of the first frame for hooking against McKinnon. And he then had a holding against Nyquist. And I just want to say this. While the penalties and the Blues, I have to give them a lot of credit where credit is due. They did a good job on the PK, right? Mostly Joel Hofer. You just can't take penalties like that. But Colorado, one thing that I noticed about them is that they're so good about drawing penalties. And that's something that maybe the Blues should look into, like how they do it, because they do it so efficiently and effectively. And then being able to end the period of play and then go into the next period already on the power play. I mean, again, brilliant. So give them credit where credit is due. And speaking of penalties, another penalty that was a little bit frustrating was Jack Finley for holding a stick against Logan O'Connor. He kind of had this really awkward fall. And I don't think it was like, oh, let me go pull on his stick. I think it was just how he fell. But the ref was right there. It was right by, I believe it was Colorado's bench. So he saw it and obviously had to call it. The Blues, though, they did have some opportunities on the power play as well. Actually more so than the Avalanche did. I mean, you had Kadri for tripping against Alexei. You had McKinnon for slashing, and he was really upset about that, by the way. Like, he even, like, broke his stick. You had Josh Manson hooking, and then Landeskog had a slashing. So, no, that's who was upset. He took his stick against the net and just, like, boom. That was crazy. But it was, like, right off the face-off, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Logan's stick is completely cut in half, and it's like, okay, buddy, well, you can't do that. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the game. Literally, I was so hyper fixated on last night's game. You have no idea how locked in I was. I think I had my phone and I was like live tweeting throughout the whole game. Okay, anyways, I talked about the 2 goals in the first period. Second period, Brent Burns was able to give Colorado their only lead of the contest. And not even a minute later, you know who responds? Well, obviously, it was Robert Thomas. This time a feed from Holloway. Snugger did get the secondary, but that first line has been lethal. And you know what I said? I said, hat trick watch for RT18. That's my guy. Every single one of you who has said, oh my God, let's trade Robert Thomas. He's not that good. He doesn't have what it takes to be a captain, blah, blah, blah. I encourage you to go back on your little ESPN app and watch last night's game, because it literally was such a stellar performance by Robert Thomas. And I think that there are some of you that just don't want to admit that you're wrong and your opinion is not correct. Listen, opinions are not facts, but this is a fact right here. In the final frame, as time was ticking down, it was almost time for OT. Robert Thomas completes his first career hat trick. And you know what that means? The Blues had a 3-2 lead. Oh, and you know what else happened when the Blues had that 3-2 lead? Well, that's when Landeskog's slashing against Mayu was called. So Colorado, they ended up pulling Blackwood, but it was technically like 5-on-5 empty net. And I don't know what's wrong with Bushi. He had an opportunity where he could have made a really good shot to the empty net, and he didn't do it. Kyrou, I mean, I can't even. Okay, I'm happy the Blues won. Look at me, I'm so happy. I'm in such a positive mood. Oh my gosh, we don't see that often here on Locked On Blues. But Kyrou and Bushi were just making me so irritated last night. I mean, there was this one shot that Kyrou had. I mean, it was literally just him and Mackenzie Blackwood. Shoots it right into his puck. Nobody else is with it. I mean, not his puck. He shot the puck right into his glove. Nobody else was with him. He could have taken some time. He could have looked up, but no. Like, I don't know what is wrong with both of them. Bushi just looks so slow, and he looks disinterested, most importantly. Has anybody else noticed that he looks disinterested? I'm not trying to create rumors. I'm not trying to do. I'm so happy. I'm so happy the Blues won, but at the same time, it's like you're playing for the Blue Note. Like, I have on the Blue Note right now on my sweatshirt. Like, I love the Blue Note, and they wear it on their sweaters, and they get paid by the Blues to play hockey. And I know that for you and I, it's so easy for us to talk about it. They're athletes. Okay, well, like, put a little bit more hustle in. There's no reason, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, but there's no reason, in my opinion, why guys like Suter or Alexi are outplaying you. You know what that shows me? Lazy. Lazy. That's laziness. That's not what we do here in the STL. Okay. Coming up, there's still a chance. The Blues are not out yet, and the broadcast was kind of fitting into my delusion, so we're going to talk about that. And then I have a very crazy statement I am going to make, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But we're going to talk about that right after this. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't been so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. One thing that I love about Gametime is that I'm able to see the all-in pricing up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. I also love that I'm able to have the view that allows me to see where my seat's going to be. So it's like that view from the seat. Oh, it makes it so amazing. Also, the zone deal stood out to me because you choose a section in Gametime, it picks out the seats and you save even more money. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app again and use code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKED, for $20 off on your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Another thing I want to touch on is something that we have called the Everydayer Club. I know you hear me talking about it day after day, but that's how much I love it. So this is what you need to do. If you want ad-free audio episodes of Locked On Blues, and you want to be invited to an exclusive Discord chat, go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Can you guys hear my cat? I'll be right back. In my opinion, I just think my one cat is super excited when I talk about the Blues in a positive way. But she's still a kitten, so she doesn't know the pain that my other cat knows, which is when the Blues lost to the Jets, and I was holding her, and it was a disaster, and we don't talk about it. Okay, anyways, there's still a chance. I know, it's crazy, because you would think, Haley, how is there still a chance? Well, this team won't stop winning. They've actually won the most games in regulation since the Olympic break. Yeah, that is right. I mean, this is a team that has so much perseverance and so much drive. Now, I know it was frustrating, right? When they lost to San Jose, I was so livid. And then obviously that OT loss against LA, I was livid then too. It puts me in such a bad mood. I swear, I can't watch hockey with people because I just get really ticked off because I see laziness from Kyrou and Bushi, and it just infuriates me. But hey, at the end of the day, they won last night, and last night was such a big game. And I've talked about this with the Blues for quite a while now. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and look to see the percentage as of today, what the Blues need to do, and then my crazy statement will be in the next segment, but it will make sense based off of everything that I say. I love being delusional, and I just want to put that out there because the ESPN broadcast last night was so delusional. They were delusional the whole entire time. And I don't know if it was just because it was hockey night in Canada or if it was literally, no, not hockey night in Canada. Was it just hockey night? It was like, whatever. Again, whatever. But the whole entire time, like they were painting it like this was the 2018-19 Blues. I was like, okay, like thanks, I guess, but like do not feed into my delusion because now I have the ESPN broadcast that's going to back me up. And then PK Subban, sometimes he just says things that like really annoy me during intermissions. Like I'm not going to get into that rant. We'll talk about that tomorrow. It's about a different team, but you'll understand. Okay. Anyways, wow. The Blues have 78 points, so they're 3 points out of the second wild card spot. Right now, the Predators are occupying that with 81 points. Ahead of the Blues of 79 points are the San Jose Sharks and then the LA Kings with 81 points as well. The Blues do have a game in hand over San Jose, as San Jose has only played 75 games, and the Blues obviously have played 76 games now. So when you're looking at the other teams, because I know many of you are probably like, oh, well, what have they played? LA 76, Nashville 76. Now, when it comes to regulation wins, this is where the Blues are really in a good position because they have 29, and that is the tiebreaker, is regulation wins. So in a sense, right, now, here we go I'm rolling up my sleeves. Like, I'm getting locked and loaded. The Blues. They realistically, yes, need to win, obviously, a few more games. But if they're in a position where they're tied with, well, okay, you have to hope that, because Nashville does have 26, so you have to kind of hope that they don't get like many more. But you're going to have to hope, in all honesty, that if the Blues catch up in points, they would win the tiebreaker, which would give them the spot. So it is possible. So I know what you're thinking now, Haley. Let's be delusional. How many games left do the Blues have? I mean, they have 76 games. They play 82 games in a season. That's 6. You do the math. So I did mention that they have to play Colorado again, and that is tomorrow night. So that's a big 2 points. Then you have Winnipeg on Thursday. Again, that's big too. The Winnipeg Jets also have 78 points. However, obviously we have the most regulation wins out of the team, so that's why we're on top. You want to win against them. Blackhawks are already eliminated. Who cares about Chicago? Beat Chicago. Bleep them. The Wild, we've beat them before. We can beat them again. Penguins. Sidney Crosby kind of scares me, but hey, it's fine. To Hunter and Patrick of Locked On Penguins, I am sure we'll do a crossover episode if the game does matter for the Blues then, because I have a few things I want to say. And then finally, we're concluding our season playing the Mammoth, the regular season. Hopefully we go to the playoffs. We play the Mammoth. Again, Mammoth right now, we're sitting in wild card 1. The Central's basically already locked up. You have Colorado, Dallas, and then Minnesota. So that's already set, right? So our only option is wild card 2, essentially. Now, the Blues could win out, and they could gain 12 more points. And they could end the season with 90 points. And it's so possible, right? You just have to hope, honest to God, Nashville doesn't win. You don't want them to win. You don't want San Jose to win. You don't want these teams to win. So let's go look at the NHL schedule for tonight, because this is where we're going to have to watch other teams and we're going to have to manifest some bad juju. So the Blackhawks and Sharks play tonight. We want Chicago to win. Okay? We are wanting Chicago to win. You have the Kings and the Predators. This is a tough one. Can both teams lose? I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say the Kings, because of the regulation wins. It would be a better situation for us if we had our points tied with them. You have the Jets and the Kraken. Obviously, you want the Kraken to win. So that's what you're rooting for tonight when it comes to, the teams that we actually care about, right? Now, tomorrow night, you have us and the Avalanche. Whew. You also have the Preds and the Ducks. You're going to have to hope that Anaheim wins. Some of these I know there's other NHL games going on. I could care less about them, to be honest. If it doesn't impact us, then it's like very irrelevant to me. But man, why am I nervous now? I am like actually nervous at this very moment. And I don't like how I feel. I'm like very on edge. Whew. Don't like that at all. All right, I'm going to talk to you about my crazy statement, but first, I'm going to tell you about something. And that something is to follow Locked On Blues here on YouTube at Locked On Blues. You can hit that subscribe button down below. It is free to do. I recommend it. It helps me out. It also helps you out because you get to stay up to date with all the latest Locked On Blues episodes. Now, if you're listening and you can't see me, you're missing out on a really interesting Robert Thomas sweater that hangs behind me. That's backwards. So it's like 81 like Dylan Holloway. We love Holloway. Extend Holloway. But if you're listening, make sure to follow whatever it is, Spotify, Apple Music. I don't know if we're on SoundCloud. We could be on SoundCloud. I still have the SoundCloud app, but wherever you're getting your podcast, make sure to follow, leave like a 5-star review. And my cat's doing her thing again, but maybe she's just communicating that she's also following on those sites. Right. I don't know. All right. Let's get back to the programming, but thank you guys so much again for being such amazing everydayers. All right, who is ready for this crazy statement? Because I've been teasing this all episode, but I genuinely in my heart and in my soul, I believe this. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be kind of insane. And I know that there's going to be some of you that are going to say, Haley, you were absolutely delusional. Am I delusional? Or am I just like, I don't know what other word there is. Crazy? Maybe. Okay. I believe if the Blues and the Avalanche met in the playoffs, because again, that's if the Blues get wild card 2 and the Avs, lock it up at first in the Central, they'll play each other. Because of the points, not because of like the Central, but because of the points. But if they meet, this doesn't sound crazy. I believe the Blues would be able to beat the Avalanche in 6. I know. Okay. So no, this is not because of what the Blues almost did to the Winnipeg Jets last year. It is because in last night's game, this Blues team, and I've talked about this a lot, they either play down to their opponents or they play up to their opponents. They played such good hockey last night. I mean, everything about it was truly beautiful. I saw a lot of good checks and nice clean hits. I saw even good spacing, which is something that we don't see a lot. But overall, I really do believe they would beat them. I know that's crazy. I know I'm a little bit delusional. I get it. Like, I am not going to sit here and say that this sounds sane because of the amount of talent that Colorado has. Like, they have so much talent. I mean, Nathan McKinnon, Cale McCart, Brent Burns, the list goes on and on, right? You could literally name like so many players on that team, and you could make like a reason as to why they are like superior compared to the Blues. However, I do believe that there's some magic going on. And Russ, aka Sportsology, who I have on the show, we talk prospects, he tweeted me last night. And you know what he said? He said, Gloria. I think that I have been saying this for a while now, and I feel like people are just kind of dismissing me because I sound crazy. But I keep on saying, if there's a team in the NHL that would surprisingly make the playoffs, that everyone, including myself, cast it off, it would be the Blues. And I've been saying that for a few weeks now. I've been saying that. So again, am I like crazy for thinking that they could actually beat the Avalanche? Now, granted, they do play them tomorrow, and I'm a little bit nervous about that, to be completely transparent. This isn't a game where I'm confident. I'm not going into this game like, oh, well, you know what? The Blues just beat them. I feel good. No, I am even more nervous because whenever Binnington starts, and I don't know if he's going to get the start or not. They had an off day today, but they don't play as well. Gosh, and this is where you're like, oh my God, not me being dramatic. Listen, I am a little bit dramatic, right? But you also haven't seen, Scott Wedgwood yet, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Right. I really almost threw up watching last night's game. I really did. I never felt so sick in my life from watching a hockey game, just because that's how good it was. I was on edge. Oh boy, it was a lot. All right. Well, I will talk to you all tomorrow as we preview a big game up ahead. I don't like this. I love hockey. I do. Hockey is the best sport. You know how I feel about hockey. You know that I'm in love with hockey. Hockey is my everything. I don't like this feeling of feeling anxious. Oh, I don't like that. That's what I don't like. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.